Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Back to Love Movement show. Today, I have a special guest, and I'm very honored that she showed up for me. Her name's Song. And Song, I would like you, if you would be so kind, to just give a little information about you for the masses.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. I love your energy, and so I love being in any space with you, Judy. You're always so bright and cheerful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So my name is Song Atthajaroon. I'm based in the Sacramento area. I'm an energy healer, a Reiki master, as well as an intuitive life coach and spiritual medium. And I help people transform their lives from a space of stuck into a place of movement, of flow, and love.
Wow. And we all could use that.
Yeah,
We're all
absolutely.
stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even those of us that have moved out of being stuck, down the road, there seems to be always a new stuck somewhere.
Absolutely. But it's very helpful to be able to get the tools to learn how to move through those spaces of feeling stuck and knowing that it's just a temporary phase that we go through and that there's wisdom in these places, in stuck places, in dark places. And so I feel like we need to tune into those moments to find those wisdoms and see what's kind of moving through us so that we can come
Absolutely.
out the other side. Hmm.
Sometimes you find the most valuable information in the darkest spaces
Yes.
that we don't want to go. But it is true. It's like life is like this, ups and downs,
Hmm.
and it's how you handle them that counts. And like you said, you're teaching people the tools so that when they hit the next down, they know how to ride that wave right back up.
Yes.
I love it. You
Absolutely.
do have a class coming up shortly too, don't you?
I do. It is going to be in February. It's called The Journey to Self-Love and Abundance.
Ooh,
And I feel like it's fitting because your title of your show is Back to Love. And I feel like that's a place where we all need to come back to is a space of love because a lot of times we're operating from a place of fear, of chaos, of I just got to get on to the next thing and to the next thing. And it's harder to manifest from that space because we feel like we're just kind of moving forward and maybe we don't have our intentions set. And when we're in the space of fear, our energy contracts. And so when we're in a place of love, our energy expands. It becomes a lot easier to attract what we want when we're in a place of love and self-love. Yeah.
oh, totally true. That
Mm-hmm.
is. I know when I would be in those places without those tools, you just sink lower and lower. It's like this downward spiral, and it's almost like you can't stop it.
Yes.
But the other thing I've noticed too is like you were referring to, a lot of people are just on automatic pilot. They're
Mm-hmm.
not even aware of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I can attest to that because I was like that for years, where I had everything. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I have everything but a life.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I had all the material things. I had the wonderful job, all the connections, etc. But when I really stopped and looked, I didn't have a life. And it was like, who is this person?
Yes. And I feel like society puts us on that track of produce, 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 more, more, more. And I have fallen into that trap a lot too. And also recently, having a spiritual business, it's still a business,
That's
but
right.
because it is a spiritual business, I was able to reflect back and like, okay, what is the direction that I really want to go into? How do I want to create the most impact and help people in a way that is sustainable for me? I definitely understand those traps of like doing to produce, to gain, to have, but then we're not enjoying.
Right.
And so this year I've kind of like pulled back so that I could bring in some more balance, to be able to not just create impact, but also enjoy life, as you mentioned.
Exactly. It's all about, it's like, let's marry love and joy together.
Yes, I was
Com-
just thinking about that too. Those
Coming,
two energies are creation energies, joy and love.
coming from a place of love and being joyful while
Yes,
you're coming from that place of love. Can
yes.
you imagine what would happen if we all did that?
My goodness.
Yeah, it would be something to see, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And that's what you're here for. You're
Mhm.
here to help people experience that.
Yes.
And you know how to do that. Would you like to share some of the ways you can do that with people?
To experience joy
Well,
and
to get to
love.
that, yeah, to get to that space, like what can you offer them, like guidance, or do you have a, well, you do have a course coming up, Self
Yes.
Love and Abundance.
For me, I found that having some sort of mindfulness practice is really key to being able to slow down, to be present in order to experience love and joy. And after we have this sort of like awareness, which is what mindfulness helps us bring, there's an acceptance, right? An acceptance of what is. And if we are able to be present in that moment, once joy does come in, once we're open to receiving joy or creating joy by doing the things that we love, doing the things that we light up, that light us up inside, then we can fully take time to soak it all in. And once we are in that space of joy, automatically I feel like love comes in too. But yes, mindfulness I feel like is key, and getting to a place of acceptance, because if we're not able to accept where we are, who we are, in whatever state we are at, then it's a lot harder to access love.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of
Hmm.
people are closed off because they've been hurt by love at some point in their life. So they've just shut that door like permanently.
Especially if love has been conditional.
Yeah, and it usually is, let's be real.
Yes.
In the world we've come from, the programmed
Hmm.
reality type world, it's,
Hmm.
yeah, it's like fake almost.
Yeah, I feel like as little, babies, we come into a space that's full of love. And then as we grow older, we're conditioned to, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do this, or you can do that. And this is acceptable and this is not acceptable. And so we're living based on other people's kind of norms, expectations, and what's expected of us. And if we're not meeting that level, and then if we feel like we're not able to be accepted, it's harder then to accept ourselves. And so once we just kind of tune that out a little bit, just to come inward, then that's where the acceptance comes in. That's where the love comes in. And that's where we're able to experience joy
And there's nothing better than self-love.
and
Most
self-love.
people have never experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's
Mm-hmm.
really important that
Yeah.
you're out there sharing this with people, teaching people, showing them how to get there, how to experience it. And
Yeah.
once you experience it, you don't want anything else. Why would you, right? I mean, going back to that old way is like, forget it.
Yeah.
I know I was like a sponge when I found out. I was just like, oh, yeah, more, 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 more.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
a continual practice, I'm finding, though, because there are things that can knock us off our course. Um, as I mentioned, even though there are other people's expectations, family, for instance, we grow up with our family, and if we decide to continue to interact with family, there's triggers that come up during those moments. Then we have to be able to decipher, okay, what's your expectation out there, and what is the reality within me, and what is the truth within me. Once we can go back inside and like check in with ourselves, then we can experience that self-love, that self-acceptance. And from that space, I feel like it's a more fulfilled space, so we're not as reactive and seeking out validation and external, like, um, justifications for, oh, love me, love me, love me. And we're not acting from that space. We're acting from a space that's fulfilled and more whole, I feel like. So then when we're interacting with people, we're not so reactive.
Right. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's so true.
And
Because
then it
it's
becomes
not
more,
just, I'm
yeah.
sorry,
And it becomes more balanced in our interactions.
and it's not even just your family. It's things your family did to you that can be triggered by someone in a workplace or someone, a friend. They can say something to you that will trigger an old trigger from your upbringing that
Yes.
will, like you said, knock you off or
Yes.
make you go, wait a minute.
Yes.
And I don't care how advanced you are, these things happen. It's just
Hmm.
that the more advanced you get with it, the less falling you do.
Yes, it's a continual healing journey. I've been on a healing path since I was maybe like 14, 15. That is 25 years ago, more than that. And things still come up. I realized recently through my work and overwork that I was putting more on my plate from this place of, I need to help you, I need to help you. And then, attaching work with self-worth. And as things kind of unraveled and doing like my own inner work, I started to realize this is a trauma response based on my upbringing. I grew up in an abusive household and an Asian household that told me I am my grades, basically. My worth is tied to what I can produce. And so that was this programming that was in my mindset. And so it got me to a point where I was like, okay, this this is not, the truth of my reality. I know that I am worthy just because that I am. I am a divine child of God, as we all are within
Right.
us. But this conditioning has kind of made us believe otherwise. And so I came to a point that it was like, okay, how can I bring more love into my life? And even the small things that I could do for myself, whether it's like mindfully, slowly cook myself a meal, bringing love into that, or setting some time out for myself to do some meditation or yoga and just infuse love into that, or even putting up a boundary and saying to somebody, I'm not available for that,
Yeah.
is bringing love into
Yeah.
yourself.
So
Hmm.
true. It's so true. And there are times when there was a time in your life where you thought the opposite, that if you
Hmm.
said no, that you weren't living up to who you were supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember those days. No
Yes.
boundaries. Yeah, no
I
boundaries.
think as empaths, as highly sensitive people, we tend to expect how we are received from others or feel into that so much that sometimes it's hard to discern what we need versus what they need, right? Or we put their needs in front of our needs because that's what we're told to do
Right,
as women, especially. Take
right.
care of everyone else. Leave
Yeah.
yourself for last.
Always. Yeah. And
Hmm.
also, it's the identities. We're all given these identities when we're growing up, and you're
Hmm.
supposed to stay in your lane and do your identity. And I mean, I'm older than you, of course. And so I can remember when we went to college as women, we were told to get our Mrs. degree, our
What's a
MRS,
missus degree?
find your husband, the good quality husband,
Oh.
to get the family, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
That was what women were taught to do. They weren't supposed to go to college to actually get a degree, to educate themselves and be successful as far as contributing to the world, but
Mhm.
to find Mr. Right. That's what a
Wow.
Mrs. degree was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what was the purpose of going to college then? Like going to the classes? Was it kind of like a sham degree to some
Yeah.
people?
Yeah,
Huh.
well, I'm sure. I mean, we still did it, but it wasn't like with the idea we were going to go get a job.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it
see.
was a means to the ends of finding the right candidate for a husband, the good
Wow.
husband, basically, that could
Wow.
provide you with a good life type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when I went off of it, oh my God, my family was just, when I did it, got married, then wanted a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
No, no one gets divorced in our family. It's
Mm-hmm.
unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And back then it was because this is like we're going back to early 70s, mid
Mm-hmm.
70s. So yeah, it's just how society's got everything just so set up a certain way. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like if you step out of that arena,
Mm-hmm.
off with her head or off with his head. It's
Yeah.
like unacceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you said, the compete, the
Mm-hmm.
perform, and you're
Mm-hmm.
judged on that. It's like identities. What are you?
Mm-hmm.
People go, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, I'm a mom. It's never, I'm a beautiful soul that's filled with love for all.
Yeah.
It's always what they did for a living was your identity.
That's true.
Yeah. And those days are gone.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting rid of those days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we are anyway. I'm hoping we are. I think
Yes.
that's the new earth.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone's going to be looked at for their gifts of themselves, for
I
what
love
they
that.
have. And everyone's going to be equal and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's going to be kind and loving to one another. It's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be, if I don't do this, you'll get ahead of me and tit for. I mean, you even see it in driving nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Someone trying to get one car ahead of you, like that
Oh yeah.
5 seconds is going to matter in their life.
Yes.
That's been my famous saying this past year is go right ahead. 10 seconds isn't going to matter in my life. Seriously. Or a minute in my life isn't going to change anything.
Mm.
Me waiting for another minute, I don't care. Go
Yeah.
right ahead. You need that minute in your life? Take it.
I like that you said introducing yourself as someone other than your title. So can we go back and re-edit my introduction?
Good one, song. I love it. I love it. Not saying anything's wrong with the title.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no. I'm
saying,
just
yeah,
teasing.
I know, but that was a
But
good
I
one. I
like the
love
way that you describe that of I am a beautiful soul filled with joy, filled with love.
it. Yeah, love enough for everyone.
Hmm.
I've always been like that, though. I was very blessed. I was born that way.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Were
was.
you? Oh,
I was
wow.
never taught it. If anything, my childhood was far from loving.
Yes.
So that's how I know. But that's another thing I will say that we all have it. That's the essence of who we be, is
Hmm.
that pure, fierce, divine love. And it's like
Hmm.
no matter what you do to someone,
Yeah.
there's always that little, I call it the pilot light, that little
What's the
flame.
pilot light?
A gas stove,
Hmm.
always lit so that your gas lights up
Yes.
so you don't have to use the match.
Yes, yes, yes.
We all have a little pilot light in us that no matter what's done to us, it never goes out. Always there,
Mm.
waiting to be shh again.
Yeah. That divine essence of us
Yep.
that is
That's
comes
what
through.
I've learned in my journeys. I believe that we are all pure, fierce, divine love. That's our essence.
Yes, I believe the same. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you were brought into this world with that understanding. For me, I picked up a book that it was in my teenage years that we were at Costco and I saw this book with a heart on it. And it was like, I don't remember if it was like some sort of color, watercolors, or artwork that was on there in the shape of a heart, and it was by Leo Buscaglia, and he was in the 80s very popular,
I
early
love him.
90s. Yes, and he taught about love, and he had a class at USC, I think it was, and all they talked about was love. Um, to give love, to receive love, And at this pure state of our being, it is love. And that changed my life. That book changed my life.
I love it.
Because I wasn't taught, I was taught that love was conditional.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't understand our divine essence until I think I started going to church my later years of high school, and then was shown this immense love by the teachings of Christ, Jesus.
Hmm.
And even though I was born Buddhist, I still understood love in its purest form. Now, I consider myself kind of more spiritual than I am religious, but I can appreciate the teachings of a lot of these ascended masters from different faiths. And at the core of a lot of religions is love.
That's what it is. When you take it all away, it's all
Yes,
based on love.
yes,
Majority of it is anyway. True, what I call true is love based.
love based.
Yeah. And if everyone could come, especially now, with what we've gone through, all of us in the last 2, 3 years, we all need love more than ever right now.
Absolutely.
You
Hmm.
know, that person that's standing in that line you don't know that might be acting like a jerk, they're acting like a jerk because they need love.
Hmm.
They're missing love in their life. If they had love, they wouldn't be acting like the jerk.
Hmm.
And we've all seen that.
I want to say yes, yes, love, yes, love. And the key to accessing love is being able to be aware of needing love and having those tools like mindfulness. I heard a story recently, or brings me to this story I heard, what you just said. But there was a man who was a veteran, had been dealing with PTSD, and had a very short temper, and not a lot of patience, and he was in mindfulness practices to help him with his temper, his short fuse. And so he's at the grocery store and watching this, there's a line of people, and there's an older lady with a baby, and she's at the register. She's talking with the cashier. They're chatting it up, taking time, and he's noticing his blood start to, and his blood pressure start to increase. And with his mindfulness tools, he just kind of observed his emotions, and um and noticed, had I not had this training, I would have been very reactive and started blowing up and saying, it's taking longer, why don't you just hurry up, don't you see all these people? And he just kind of like allowed himself to be present with it and breathe through it until he finally gets to the register. And I think it was like at an army base or something that he was at. And he says to the woman, like, oh yeah, and so the woman went to the cashier, had the cashier hold the baby, and so there was this whole exchange going on. And then she gave the baby back to the woman, she left. And by the time this man came up, the veteran, he said, oh, that was a cute baby, wasn't it? And the cashier says, yes, my husband passed away. He was on tour in Iraq, and and now I had to get a job to help with the baby. That was my mother. She tries to bring him in once a day so I can see him. And isn't that,
Yeah.
amazing to hear? And he said, had I not had these tools, I wouldn't have been able to hear that story and
Wow.
been
That's
touched by
big.
it. Mm-hmm.
That's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God he had those tools.
Thank goodness he had those tools. Yes.
Yes. That's a blessing in itself. It's another thing we need to be more grateful.
Mm-hmm.
We as a society seem to expect a lot as well.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
We expect this, we expect that, we expect almost everything in our lives.
Yes.
And yet, how many times are we grateful? Or
Mm-hmm.
how many times when we expect do we say thank you?
Mm-hmm.
I find that's a really big one too. So let's talk about this course you got coming up.
Mm-hmm. This course I have coming up is going to be 8 weeks. starting in February, we go through a series of different modules. And the first one is going to be on setting intentions. What is it that you do want to create in your life? And then we'll kind of go through the different layers to be able to access not just self-love, but our higher self, that divine essence. So we'll go through self-acceptance, conditions of worth, and how we can find self-worth, as I mentioned before, that knowing that we are worthy just because we are, that it's not necessarily based on these conditions that have been told to us, and start peeling back the layers and uncovering this love for self. And that's the juicy part. Once we get to a place of self-love, once we are able to tune into our higher self, that divine essence, then we can start to play. Then we can start to experience joy at a higher frequency, at an elevated vibration, this expanded awareness, and start to bring in the things that we want to happen in our lives. And so I've noticed that in the time that I've taught this course before, we work on manifesting, even though it's small things, and people will tell me, I got this thing, I asked for this, and it came through. I asked for that, and that came through. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, success. Love it.
It's
Love it.
so exciting.
And
And it's
fun.
and I call it, and it's fun, yes. And I call it a journey to self-love, because that's what we go through as we unpeel these layers. Where in our lives did we start to stem away from love? And how can we bring that understanding back? And how can we access that love within us again? Ugh.
Yeah.
So we do different meditations to help us be able to access that love, to bring awareness in. And we do some reflection. We do journaling. And because it's in a container within a group, there's rooms, breakout rooms that we can use for breakthrough moments, breakthrough rooms. And it's all a kind of like a process, so we can get to the place of love within ourselves and start being able to interact with others from this more holistic space, and then create the lives that we want, manifest the things that we want.
Yeah. Fun.
Mhm.
Fun. You can paint your own masterpiece for
Yes,
yourself. Yeah, I like that.
yes.
I like that a lot.
And the registration will be on my website, and I'll give you the link for that.
And let's say your website.
Yes, it's songbirdjourney.com.
Okay.
SONGBIRDJOURNEY.com.
And you have other classes there as well, or courses, or like you teach Reiki. You've got very high on your intuitive. I know that because I've worked with you. So I can
Yes,
say that you're very, very high level intuitive.
yes. So I teach an intuitive Reiki class. Excuse me.
That's
I'm going to grab my coffee here. So I teach an intuitive Reiki class, which is a combination of Reiki 1 and 2 with how to tap into our intuition.
mm, that sounds fun.
Yes. And this year, I'm planning to teach Reiki to children and families, as well as a Reiki mastery course.
Awesome. So people can go to your site then and find that as upcoming stuff happening, or they can even do a private session if they would choose to with you on themselves, with their family, whatever. I'm sure you could work
Yes.
something out.
I do private sessions as well, energy healing that's remote and in person, as well as intuitive life coaching. And I was doing readings. I've paused it for now, but I'm planning to open up again this year.
Well, I think your 8-week course on self-love and abundance would be a great way for anybody to start the new year off.
Thank you. Yes.
It would give great direction and guidance and just start off on the right foot for the 2023. Give it a bang.
Yes. That was the intention of setting it up.
Yeah,
Yes.
good idea. Good idea.
Mhm.
So we're going to wrap it up here. And I would just like to say, is there anything in parting you would like to say? And
No, I think that I just want to say thank you for bringing me on. And sorry, I've got this little cough here
it
and my
happens.
dog in the background that's whining. But I guess he wants to return to love too.
Yep,
Love
exactly.
and
Why
joy.
not? Right? Why not?
Hmm.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining. And remember, she's got the 8-week class coming up here in February. And
Hmm.
that's websites Songbird Journey. Is it Journey or Journeys?
Journey.
Journey, okay.
Hmm.
Singular.com, right?
Yes. Yes.
So go to her website, check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Hmm.
And thank you so much, Song, for making your presence here. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And to everyone out there, remember to be kind, gentle, and loving to one another.
And yourself.
Love to all.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.